Good morning, students. Today I'll continue with inheritance, extending classes. So let's start from yesterday's continuation. So today's topic on inheritance are as follows: declaring a derived class. Okay, so block diagrams for declaring a derived class. Okay, visibility modes and different types of visibility modes. So these topics will be explained as follows. So in here you can see the block diagram to show derived class. So if you look at the figure 6.2, so in the top rectangular box you have the base class, and then below that you have derived class A, derived class B, derived class C. Okay. So derived class A is derived from the base class. So the members of the base class the members of the base class is also copied to the derived class A. Okay, so if you read the note part, a derived class may itself is a base class. Okay, so here the derived class A and B and C, it can also act as a base class. Okay, from which additional classes are derived. So since class B is derived from class A, okay, so class B has some features or the features which are similar to class A. Okay, so that's why class A acts as a base class for class B. Okay, so here you see that derived class A inherits members from base class. Okay, derived class B inherits from class A, so which becomes base class for B. Similarly, derived class C inherits the members, that is the data members and the member functions, okay, from class B, okay, which becomes base class for derived class C. So uh, so finally class B becomes the base class for class C. Okay, class A becomes base class for class B, and yeah, the whole overall we have the base class, okay, which is called as a superclass, or it is also called as a parent class. Okay, so in that case, class A, class B, class C, they are called as child class, or they are also called as subclass. Okay, so have a look at this diagram nicely, okay, and try to understand the difference between the base class and derived class. Next we have so here another block diagram. Okay, so in this block diagram uh, you will see three classes. Okay, here a derived class implicitly inherits data members and member functions from its base class. So what is the term about this implicit? Okay, we have already learned about that implicit call in classes and objects, and then constructors and destructors. Explicit call, implicit call, right? So here the derived class implicitly it inherits the data members and member functions from the base class. So that means like indirectly inheriting. Okay, however a derived class does not inherit any constructors. Okay, that we'll see later on. Okay, only the constructor and destructor cannot be inherited from the base class. Okay, the derived class the derived class only when it gets instantiated, okay, then only the base class constructor gets invoked. But you cannot explicitly the derived class cannot explicitly call the base class constructor. Okay, it can be done only implicit. That is the default constructor. Okay, so implicitly here it inherits, implicitly inherits, meaning you don't have to write again the members of the base class in the derived class declaration. It will automatically copy to the derived class declaration. Okay, let me read once more. Okay, implicitly inherits, meaning you don't have to write again the members of the base class, the members of the base class in the derived class declaration. It will automatically copy to the derived class declaration. Okay, so here you can see three class. The first one is class human. Okay, then it has the data members name, occupation. Okay, and then it has the member functions input, data, display. Similarly, you have from that, so this acts as the base class. So from this base class, two other classes are derived. That is the class teacher. Okay, that is the class teacher and the class players. Okay, so this is your base class, and these two, class teacher and class player, is your derived class. So you have the members, that is for the base class, that is these data members and member functions. Okay, and similarly for the class teachers, you have the data members and member functions. The data members subject and salary, and then the member function calculates salary. And similarly for the class player, okay, you have the data member s type. Okay, and then club name, and then scores as member function. So if we come back to the class human, okay, so human, every human has a name. Okay, they all have an occupation. So in this case, the occupation has been uh, split into teacher and players as a sports player. Okay, so every class will input the data. So in this case, input data, the name and the occupation, display, right? So and in the case of the class teacher, okay, uh, the subject, what subject he teaches, what is the salary, and in the case of the functions, calculate the salary. Okay, and in the case of the class player, uh, what is the sports type? Is it football? Okay, is it basketball? And then suppose it is football. Okay, what is the club name? Or if it is basketball also, what is the club name? Okay, so and then the scores. Okay, so you can see that every class, okay, though it is inherited or though it is derived, okay, you have the members, that is the data members and the member functions unique to its own class. Okay, so class human has its own unique members, class teacher has its own unique members, and class players has its own unique members. But when I say implicitly inherits, meanings you don't have to write again the members of the base class. The whole purpose about inheritance is called reusability. Okay, you are able to reuse the members of the base class to the derived class on the derived class. Okay, so what happened is that implicit inherit. Okay, so you will see that in the code, in the class teacher and in the class player, okay, the members name, occupation, input, data, display will not be written. Okay, when the class teacher and class player is being declared. Okay, it will not be explicitly declared, it will not be written in here. Okay, it will not be written here also. What it will do, but it will be implicitly declared. So you will not see it, but if you want any data that is from the class human, okay, suppose the name, the occupation, okay, the like that, then in that case the class teacher can automatically extract that data. Okay, or the class player can also automatically extract the data. Okay, so it will not be visible, but it will be accessible. Okay, so that's why it will be automatically copied to the derived class declaration. Okay, so I hope with this block diagram you can understand. Okay, if not, go through this again. Okay, so Next, we have visibility modes and access specifier. So under visibility modes or access specifier, okay, visibility modes used in inheritance describe the level of access for the members that are inherited from the base class. Okay, based on the visibility mode, derived class can access the base class members in three different ways. Okay, so in the last class I've shown you the format how to declare a derived class, right? Using the colon you can access the base class members. Okay, so based on the visibility mode, derived class can access the base class members in three different ways. Okay, so the base class can be privately, publicly, okay, or protected mode derived by the derived class. So the derived class can either like it can access the base class members as a private mode or public mode or protected mode. Okay, so this is very important. Okay, private, public, protected. Based on this, the accessibility features from one class to another subclass, okay, it depends on that only. Okay, so what is that? Okay, more so what is private and what is public and what is protected, we'll see one by one. Okay, so three types of visibility modes. The first one is private. So the default visibility mode is private. Okay, by default, if no access specifier is mentioned or written when a class gets declared, okay, so the members of that class will be private. Okay, so what happens if it is declared private, or if you have not written any access specifier, then it becomes private. So in that case, all the inherited members of base class becomes private in the derived class. So when the derived class inherits the members of that particular base class, okay, even if the base class members are public or protected, okay, even if the base class data members and the member functions are public, okay, uh, when in the derived class the base class is called uh, is declared privately, okay, then what will happen is that in the derived class declaration, okay, the public members of the base class becomes private. Okay, everything becomes private. Okay, so secondly, okay, protected. So if the base class is derived as protected, okay, then public or protected members of base class becomes protected in derived class. So if the base class, if it is uh, publicly declared, okay, or if it is declared as protected, okay, when in the derived class the base class is accessed as protected, then even the public members, the data members of the base class, okay, or the member functions of the base class, the public members becomes protected. Okay, and the protected members, it retains protected only. Okay, now in the case of public, all public members in base class are public in derived class. All protected members in base class are protected in derived class. Okay, so when the members of the base class is public, okay, and in the derived class the base class is members are accessed publicly, okay, as public, then uh, the members of the base class in the derived class is also becomes public. Okay, and in the case if it is protected, okay, then the members of the base class in the derived class is also becomes protected. However, if the base class, okay, keep this in mind, very important, okay, if the base class members are declared as private, okay, from the beginning itself, then protected access specifier or even public specifier, okay, public access specifier or private access specifier, in the derived class cannot access any private members of the base class. Okay, so the private members of the base class cannot be copied, cannot be done explicitly. Okay, so I hope with this presentation you have understood, okay, the derived class, declaration of derived class, okay, the visibility modes, access specifiers. Okay, so that will be all for today.